tangled Christmas lights. Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry here again. Getting ready for the holidays. You know, Christmas is coming up soon. I've been decorating a lot more than previous years for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. It's almost like I have a lot more time on my hands and I don't know what I would do otherwise, but it's good to maintain my sanity. Right, Barry? Exactly, man. You know exactly what to say at every given time. It's truly remarkable. All right, so, hey, remember that chapter of My Hero Academia? It wasn't too long ago. It was the Christmas special, right? It was the chapter where we just got to see all the members of Class 1A hanging out at the dorm, all dressed up in their Santa outfits, giving each other presents. There was that adorable little scene there between Izuku and Uraraka, and Uraraka gets the little All Might keychain. It's like, aw, So, then Aizawa and Aries show up, and it's like, oh, that's a nice, wholesome, like, slice of life chapter. Okay, here's what you do. Go back and read that chapter again, and then immediately read just pick any chapter from, like, the last 2 months. And you will see a little bit of an opposite thing going on there. Horikoshi's really good at that, though. He's really good at making, like, a slice of life, like, high school manga, where it's like, oh no, the cultural fest is next week. We're gonna need to get decorations. Well, we could go down to the store there and pick up some streamers. Yeah, and then I can use my quirk to fashion them on the wall. That'll be great. Versus, oh my god, everybody's dead. Oh my god, Bakugo got hit. Oh, there's fire everywhere. Oh my god, thousands of people are getting crushed under this giant stomping through the city. What are we gonna do? But it's okay. It's okay, because the greatest hero that ever was or ever will be has arrived in this last chapter. Actually, I was gonna say best genus, but if you've seen the ending of the chapter, there's actually another one that shows up that we might think. That came out of nowhere, right? We'll have to wait a little while to get to that, because I really want to talk about genus first, and I want to talk about the chapter, but that final page, that cliffhanger, was probably the most out of left field thing that I had ever, like, for a while in shonen manga anyway. Like, I've been reading shonen for a while, but a lot of times they'll usually be set up to that, like there was set up to best genus. Like the last few chapters, there was kind of a lead up to it where we see the cargo plane flying and like, sir, we're gonna get there soon, and we just see just like a shadowy figure. We don't see their face, and like you have to hurry up. And so a lot of people could have assumed it was genus. There was some other theories out there, but there was setup. There was like no setup for what happened at the end, so we'll get to that when we get to that. But anyway, yeah, My Hero Academia chapter 292, best genus finally airdrops on the scene. Number 3 hero right after, Endeavor number 1, Hawks got promoted to number 2, and genus for his actions at Camino Ward, and also just the act of being like injured in battle, managed to kind of rise him through the ranks. He was apparently missing. We had the whole thing going on that Hawks apparently eliminated him, and even in this chapter we find out through Dabi's like that corpse was definitely real. So there's still a few questions that need to be answered here. But at any rate, we all knew best genus wasn't just gonna go out like that, right? For a few reasons. I mean, number one, yeah, it's sure that best genus wasn't like a main character or anything like that, but a lot of people seem to like him, and his death just like, oh yeah, he was just eliminated by Hawks off screen. That's how we're gonna get rid of him. That would have been a little weird. But I want to tell you, the reason why I wanted best genus to still be alive more than anything is that line that Bakugo had. Remember? Bakugo apparently has decided on a hero name for himself, but he doesn't want to tell anybody. He was like, I'm not going to tell anyone until I get to tell a certain person. And dollars to donuts, that person is probably best genus, if it wasn't just flat out said already, because this was a little while ago that Bakugo said that. But he's like, yeah, back when he was doing his internship at Best Genus Agency, he's like, oh, once you get a hero name, come back and tell me, what it is. And so Bakugo is like, all right, he's gonna be the first person that finds out, okay? And in this chapter, it was funny when Genus, like, does this epic airdrop out of the cargo plane. He's got these giant, like, carbon fiber, like, these wires that are used to suspend, like, giant bridges in cities. He's, like, airdropping with those things, doing his Fiber Master crap, and Bakugo's like, missing person, huh? I knew it. Like, even with Bakugo, like, I think one of his lungs are punctured, he's bleeding out, he can't breathe very well, but he's always like, I knew he wasn't dead. It's like, yeah, so I hope to see a moment there between Genist and Bakugo. Probably not right now in the thick of this battle, but after everything is said and done, it'd be nice for them to catch up and also find out exactly what the whole thing that went down with Hawks and Genist and, how that whole switcheroo took place and maybe some things that led up to this moment here, okay? So, here's the thing. It's really cool that Genist is back in action, and it was kind of being set up like, okay, Genist is going to be the guiding light. He's going to be the savior. He's going to be the one that shows up at the 11th hour and like, all right, I'm another pro hero just when you needed another pro hero, and I'm not exactly at full power because he's missing a lung, and, he has to, be careful of how he fights and everything. And in this chapter, we definitely see some strain being put on him, but he's just, he's gonna show up and restrain all the villains, and maybe, grab Bakugo and Izuku and just, manage to, get them away, get them on the cargo plane, and just, evac, get out of here. That's not what's happening, though. In fact, the chapter opens up with Genist about ready to do his airdrop and his free fall, and he's just like, Dabi, you decided to do this, to air out all of the dirty laundry involving Endeavor and everything. You're spreading this across the world right when the public's belief in heroes and their trust in the hero society is just beginning to falter. You come out with this shit. So, I don't know. Maybe Genist had an idea, I'm just going to, rescue and retreat because this whole thing is going on here. Obviously, you have Gigantomachia walking around, stomping around, crushing everything. Shigaraki's still there. You got to eliminate him. But, Endeavor is so close to dying right now. Izuku, Bakugo, so close to dying right now. I mean, maybe you could say Izuku won't die because, obviously meta reasons, he's the main character, and also because he's got one for all and everything, and so all the crazy things that could involve. But he's not doing too good, right? So maybe Genist had that idea, but I also like to think, Genist is okay, I have to be someone that shows up and proves to the world, the whole world is kind of watching right now, that the Hero Society is still stalwart. We can still stand tall here in adversity. So he airdrops with these giant cables coming out of the cargo plane and manipulating them with his Fiber Master quirk. So not only does he control the fiber in his denim or in any other fabric he's wearing or everything, that's pretty good to restrain a normal villain or somebody just a random robber on the street. He can just restrain somebody with just his denim jacket or whatever. But, Gigantomachia is a little bit bigger, so he's busting out the big guns. And if you've read Vigilantes, during the Tokyo Sky Egg arc in Vigilantes, we actually see Genist doing that there, where this giant building is about to fall, and it's really high up there, and Genist uses these carbon fibers, these steel cables, to restrain the building, and that's kind of what he does. And so that was kind of already set up in Vigilantes, but yeah, that's an extension of his Fiber Master quirk. He can do that here too. So he's got a crap ton of these cables, and he wraps it all around, and he just tethers Gigantomachia to the ground while also restraining all of the villains super, super tight. Dabi is able to exert just a tremendous amount of fire, and it seems like that's burning away the fibers from the, did I say fiber or fire? He emits a massive amount of fire to burn away the fibers. That's a little bit of a tongue twister there. But a lot of the other villains, like Spinner and Shigaraki, they got caught up in this. Mr. Compress, they get caught up in this. I have a feeling that if Best Genist really wanted to, because I can't really think of any reason why he wouldn't be able to. If he's able to make fiber to restrain Machia, keep him tethered to the ground, this massive brute, right? He's able to restrain him as well as he did in this chapter. You'd think he would definitely have the capabilities and enough pressure that he could exert. He could wrap that cable around Mr. Compress and just crush his body and just splice him in half. But that's not a very hero thing to do. I understand, all right, game over. Just slice him in half. I mean, I feel like Genist could have definitely done that, but at this moment in particular, he's kind of all right, I need to kind of show the public that the heroes are still here, and I'm the guiding light, the thread of hope, so to speak, because the fibers of denim of freedom, or whatever, pun you want to go with there. He probably doesn't want to just immediately kill them all, but I have a feeling with Shigaraki and Dabi, maybe not so much, but I feel with Spinner, and Mr. Compress, he definitely could have just he could have just crushed them with those fibers and just sliced them in half, right? But anyway, he at any rate, he does restrain them very, very tightly with those fibers. And Makia is down, and he's not even moving. Like, he's trying to move, and you could tell that Genist is, like, really restraining himself, trying to get him, held down. And it's revealed that it's like, Makia can only really exert himself full power when he's given an order. And Spinner this is kind of like a Spinner chapter. We get a little bit of Spinner here, where Spinner is still kind of like, he's with Shigaraki, trying to get him back to consciousness, and he's like, man, Makia has been running all over the place, and he was kind of out of breath. He can only really get out of this if he gets a direct order from Shigaraki, who's currently unconscious. Hado kind of tries to step in and interfere, and Dabi just bursts forth with his mighty flames and, like, incinerates the fiber, and then just boom! Hits Hado. Hado goes down. And so what does Dabi do at this point? Well, of course, he takes the opportunity to shit on Endeavor more. He burns Hado out of the sky, and Dabi's like, hey, check that out, Dad! Another student! Man, I bet she would have made a great hero. Man, that would have been awesome, but she's burnt to a crisp now! And so he says, there's another moment where Shoto clashes with Dabi, and they're both, like, the flames are just pouring off of them, and Shoto's like, are you insane? And Dabi's like, hell yeah, little bro! Didn't figure that out yet! So yeah, Dabi's like, yeah, I'm 100% cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs here. What tipped you off, little bro? So, yeah. One thing I want to bring up with Dabi, though, and it is something that was brought up, when we were getting that little backstory with Toya and everything, it was revealed that, yeah, Toya, or Dabi's firepower, his fire quirk, his cremation, it is a hotter fire. It burns hotter than Endeavor's, hell flames, but it also causes more damage to him. That overheating is kind of like even more of a detriment to Dabi, and we've seen this before, where a lot of times he'll overexert his fire, his skin will get burned or singed. You also have to imagine Dabi's flesh is, like, stapled together with, like, literal staples. So, I don't know, unless those staples are made out of, like, tungsten or something, they're gonna melt under the fire. And even if they don't, like, can you imagine that? Like, your skin is all stapled together, and then it's, like, lit on fire and just, like, burning your flesh. So, that could definitely happen. So, Dabi, he's, like, so much of a lunatic, he probably doesn't even feel pain at this point. He's just, like, raptured in fire and just be, like, completely swept up in the whole ordeal. Like, this is what he's been waiting for years. Like, an encounter with Endeavor, an encounter with his little brother Shoto, and all this stuff. And he's probably just, like, basking in this glory for him. But I'm just gonna mention, like, exerting as much firepower as he did, and we see him, like, in this chapter just being bathed in his cremation fire. That's probably going to wear him down at least a little bit, right? Like, it might get to the point where even all the adrenaline in the world's not gonna help, and he's just, like, he starts, like, coughing up blood, or his body just starts shutting down, like he can't move anymore. It might very well be something like that, right? And so, yeah, Hado gets taken down, Shoto's clashing with him, and Genist is giving every single ounce of his concentration. He's starting to cough up blood. He's at his limit pretty quick as well. Not even pretty quick. He's holding down Makia. That's going to require a lot of effort. Doesn't matter if you were at full strength, right? If you had both lungs, Genist, that would still be really hard to do. And so, yeah. There's also a scene where, so Spinner actually wakes up Shigaraki. Spinner actually just, like, bites his head. It's like, Shigaraki, you gotta wake up! Chomp! And that apparently wakes up Shigaraki, and he's like, itchy, need to scratch, Makia, destroy. And that's all it took for Makia to just, like, the eyes glare, and they're just like, yes, master! Boo! And he tries to break out of the fiber. Now, he doesn't straight up just completely break all the fibers and start stomping around, but Genist is kind of at his limit already, and he's coughing up blood, and now Makia's kind of got his second wind, or third wind, or fourth wind, or whatever wind this is at this point, and it looks like he's gonna break through. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, we have Burnin, one of the sidekicks at Endeavor's agency, a really sexy fire lady, and she's doing her thing and everything, and there's a bunch of heroes there, and they're like, how many of these damn Nomus are left? He's like, well, we've taken down at least half, right? He's like, yeah, but they've taken down half of our numbers too. So, yeah, a lot of heroes are definitely dying here today, right? There's going to be a big memorial set up after this day if anybody makes it out of here alive. So anyway, they're like, I've got half of these left, but the problem is, as this fight has been going on, these Nomu kind of started off as just berserkers and just attacking. But now in the last 30 minutes, their movements have definitely become more deliberate, a little bit more tactical, a little bit more aware of the battlefield and like making moves in that sort of way, more on the par with the heroes and stuff. And so they're kind of concerned with that. All of a sudden, all these Nomu start kind of making a beeline for the battlefield, start heading toward Genis and Makia and everybody to help them out. Burnin looks like she gets attacked by one of these things. We don't know what's up with her, if she got killed or taken out or whatever, but it looks like she got attacked by one of these things. Cut back over to the main battlefield now. Izuku's on the ground, and he's just like, okay, I'm about like 2 steps shy of the death's door and about 1 step shy of just going into a coma, but I still gotta fight. You know, my legs are beat up, my arms are beat up, but if I use float and black whip, I should still be able to move around. I love how Izuku is not even like, he's like, yeah, my arms and legs are pretty much shot at this point, pretty much broken, but yeah, I can still fight. I can fly to avoid that. I don't need my legs if I can fly, and I don't need my arms if I got black whip, so we should still be good. So Izuku's like bringing it, and he's like, I just have to move, I just have to get up, I have to support Genis, even if it's just a second, even if it's just half of a second, to just, you know, make sure that Genis, because the second Genis loses his focus and something else attacks him, if a Nomu comes from behind and he loses his focus, Maki is gonna break out of Genis's grasps, right? Okay, so Izuku's about ready to dive in and do it, when, last scene of the chapter, out of the freaking ground, we just have Mirio! Yeah! Mirio just pops up like, Power! And just bursts out of the ground with his permeation quirk, full hero costume, epic hairstyle, and punches the freaking Nomu out of the way so Genis can remain safe and focus on Makia. End of chapter, and Izuku's like, Lemillion! No setup for that. No real setup. No foreshadowing. I mean, if I'm wrong on that, go back and let me know. But I don't know. Like, was there a scene in the last chapter or the last 2 or 3 or 4 chapters, any chapters in the last few months where, like, we see a scene with Mirio or we cut over to a mysterious person, we don't know who it is, and like, all right, I guess I'll head out, or we see a glimpse of Mirio's cape or his costume, or I don't know, somebody mentions Mirio, because I missed it if that was the case. I mean, it might have been possible, but I don't think this was set up. I think Horikoshi wanted this to be like, okay, Best Jeanist showing up, I'm going to set that up. You're going to know Best Jeanist is coming. I'm going to have a few foreshadowing moments for that. But Mirio, when I hit you with Mirio, that's going to be the thing that you're not going to be expecting, right? So, yeah. Now, few things with this. First off, let me talk about this one theory that I saw that I thought was interesting. There's some people that are thinking it's not even Mirio, it's actually Toga. Because not only can Toga mimic somebody's appearance with her quirk, you know, drawing the blood and consuming it and then turning into that person, also mimicking their clothes along the way, so even having Mirio's outfit would not be a surprise there with Toga's quirk. But also from what we found out in the Destro arc, is that she can also now replicate quirks. Now, we don't know the whole story with that yet. It seems to apply, at least the way Toga speaks about it, she can only copy the quirks and use those with people that she has a strong affinity for, that she really likes or loves. You know, has some kind of affinity for that. I'm not sure if Toga would have that affinity toward Mirio. Also, I'm not even sure would have Toga, now it's been a while since the Chisake arc, and Mirio was there, and Toga was also there. Did Toga manage to get some of Mirio's blood? I'm not sure. And even if she did, I'm not sure she would be able to copy Mirio's quirk. I'm just throwing that out there because I did see it around in the comments. People were talking about it as a possibility because this is coming out of so much of left field, you know, and maybe so Toga, with her meeting with Uraraka, changed her mind or whatever and came back to the battlefield. But I'm not really on board with that, mostly because I just really want Mirio to come back and have his quirk and be back in action again, right? You know, I made a video about this a few months back, earlier this year, where I'm talking about it and I'm like, well, you know, maybe Mirio doesn't get his quirk back. Maybe Mirio just spends the rest of his days, you know, just trying to support the heroes from other ways, other ways of doing that, right? Just like how Ragdoll is like a secretary right now. She's trying to support the Wild Pussycats in other ways, right? So that's still possible that you could do that with Mirio's character, and it's a possibility, but I was sitting there thinking, like, I just really want Mirio to get his quirk back. I want him to, because you know what? It was such a tragic thing with Mirio, where you learn about his backstory with his dad, and his dad had the permeation quirk too. And he's like, you know, son, our quirk, it's really powerful, but it's really hard to master. And Mirio's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna master my quirk and I'm gonna become a hero. And he did it, and he worked his ass off every single day. Like, quite literally, his pants fell down all the time. But he worked his ass off every single day to the point where he got as strong as he was. He was the candidate that was supposed to receive one for all, for God's sake. And he gets it taken away, and it's like, all right, yeah, you could do stuff with his character without a quirk, but my God, he deserves to get his quirk back. If there was anybody that deserved it, like, Mirio does, as well as I'm sure a bunch of other people that all for one stole their quirks from, you know, Ragdoll included in that, but Mirio deserves to have his quirk back, right? And so, how he got his quirk back, well, we don't know that yet, but you certainly can't say there's just no possibilities. You can't just say, oh, it's impossible that he could have gotten his quirk back. Few different ways to do this. For one way, the effects of that round, I mean, that was like the first perfected round they really tried on Mirio, right? And is like, this is the first one off the presses. Let's try that against Mirio. So they did. Maybe the effects weren't as permanent as they thought. Or maybe medical science figured out a way to reverse it. Or, you know, it's like maybe you have to be exposed to it for a certain amount of time. He's been out of commission for several months now. So even if that round that Shisake fired is like not forever, it's like, oh, it'll take away your quirk for like 6 months. That's still a really devastating weapon. That's still really, really freaking dangerous. But it's not, like, infinite. It doesn't last forever, okay? So it might have just been something like that. That wasn't something they really tested for years and years. Like, oh, it's like somebody got shot with this eraser round, like, 10 years ago and they still don't have their quirk. No, this was, like, brand new. So it's like, okay, it might have been that. There was also the discussion that once Aries' horn returned and she got the ability to use her quirk again, maybe she could figure out a way to reverse the effects of said quirk with some proper training and stuff. That's also something thrown out there. There's a problem with that because it's like they literally used Aries' blood to make the eraser round to regress the body or part of the body to the point where it couldn't handle the quirk anymore. So you're literally trying to use Aries' reversal abilities on her reversal abilities to reverse the reversal. So you get kind of into that. But it's possible maybe Eri, because obviously Chisake didn't foster a very positive learning environment for her. You know, it's possible that with the proper guidance from Aizawa and the other teachers at UA, and I'm sure they brought in specialists all over the place to try to get Eri to understand what her quirk really does and how to, like, use it properly, maybe Eri figured out a way to just cancel the quirk's effects altogether. Not reversing things, just, like, touching Mirio and just be like, I reverse the effects of my rewind, and just poop, and then he just turns back to normal. Could have been something like that. Or they could have taken a sample from Aries' blood and they could have developed it to, like, make not like a vaccine, I guess, kind of like an anti-rewind, a fast forward, so to speak. There's a bunch of different explanations. You could pick any of those I just said and I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And also, this is something that they've had months and months to work on. This is not something that is just like Mirio lost his quirk last week and they've already recovered. You know, it's like, oh, no, they've had doctors, quirk scientists, you know, a bunch of people probably coming in to look at, like, yeah, they made a bullet that can remove quirks. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we should study this. You know, scientists should come in and study this and figure out a way to reverse the effects, you know? So Mirio being back in action, showing up, this is going to be a blast if it really is him. I really hope it is. And next chapter, I mean, now we're starting to get, I want to say we're kind of starting to get on even keel, but I really don't think we are. Like, if you really think about it, Makia is, like, this close to breaking free. Genist is kind of spent already. I mean, he's already coughing up blood and stuff, and he's about ready to lose his focus. I mean, yeah, Mirio protected him, but I don't know how much longer Genist can hold this. And Mirio's there, and he's a top-notch hero. He's super effective with his permeation quirk. But we still got Shigaraki, and we still got Izuku and Endeavor seriously injured, and Bakugo injured, and Ida's there. He's, you know, he has to basically take care of Bakugo. We got Dabi still there. So I think it's kind of setting it up, like, with Horikoshi being like, all right, now the heroes are getting their comeback. Like, but are they, though? Are they, though? They're getting some reinforcements from some really powerful heroes, but is that going to be enough? From the situation we see right now, it doesn't look like it. Because next chapter, I could see Makia breaking free, Dabi burning away Shoto, getting him at least defeated off. They're not killing Shoto, but his firepower is stronger, unless Shoto figures out something. And Izuku's not really. Maybe Izuku can have one more moment here, but yeah, unless the villains decide to retreat, which is still a possibility. Like the villains, like Shigaraki's finally decided, like, okay, I can't. We're about like really close to all dying. We need to go all get out of here. And Makia takes everyone and retreats, and that gives the chance for the heroes to kind of recoup. The heroes still kind of lost this fight in a big way, but at least they all managed to come. Well, no, they didn't all manage to come out alive. There's still a lot of heroes that died, but like all of the main characters managed to kind of come out of this alive, except for Crust. He was a main character in my book. But yeah, unless the villains decide to retreat, man, Mirio coming back, Genis, that's a good bonus, but we're gonna need a lot more than that, I think, to make this work. Okay, so yeah, that was the chapter. It was really epic, really cool to see Lemillion in action once again, and we'll see where it goes from here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Comment down below, and I'm gonna finish untangling these Christmas lights. Feliz Navidad!